Okay, everybody, here we go with our daily multiplication problem. These are questions, where am I? These are questions 5 through 8 that we're now. Okay, so here is question 5. We're going to multiply 43 times 25. Now, I can think of lots of ways to do this, but I'm going to show you how to do what I call the US traditional algorithm. This is where you line up your numbers by place value. You're going to stack your ones on top of each other, like so. And then you're going to stack your tens on top of each other. 4 groups of 10 and 2 groups of 10. It's always a good idea to start by estimating what you think the answer should be close to, so that you have an idea of whether or not your answer is reasonable. So if you start by asking yourself what 25 times 4 is, and if you know that there's 4 quarters in a dollar, 25 times 4 is 100. And here we're multiplying by a bit more than 40. So 25 times 40 is going to be not 100, but 1,000. So our answer needs to be greater than 1,000. If we get something that's less than 1,000, we'll know we've made a mistake. So that's our estimate. I'm going to label that with an E for estimate. Okay, let's go ahead and start multiplying. I want you to practice doing your multiplication like this. Do 1 or 2 problems each day, because a lot of this is just muscle memory, training your brain to do things in a certain order. Always start by multiplying your ones first. So we're going to multiply 3 times 5, which gives us 15. We put down the 5 and carry the 1. 5 times 4 gives us 20. Plus 1 more gives us 21. Now, we're done multiplying our ones, so I can cross that out to show that I'm done with my ones place. Now I'm multiplying my tens. So when I do this, I'm really multiplying 20 times 3. Here's my 20 times 3, and then 20 times 40. But this US algorithm just allows me to do it kind of like in shorthand. So I'm going to cross out the 1 because I'm done with that. And I'm going to multiply 2 times 3, which gives me 6. Oh, I need to put a 0 here for a placeholder. That just shows that I'm done with my ones place. 2 times 3 gives me 6, and 2 times 4 gives me 8. Last, I'm going to add my partial products. 5 plus 0 is 5. 1 plus 6 is 7. 2 plus 8 is 10. So my answer is 1,075, and that is greater than 1,000, so my estimate was reasonable, and I think my answer makes sense. Question 6. Use the window strategy to find the product. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and that will allow me to write in it more easily. Now I'm going to think of this as being an array. In this array, I'm taking my 17 first, and I'm going to break it up into a 10 and a 7. Then I'm going to take my 23, and I'm going to break that up into a 20 and a 3. So both of these numbers are factors. When we're multiplying factor times factor to get a product or an answer. And so my partial factors on the side have to total the full factor here. So 10 plus 7 gives me 17. And here on the other side, 20 plus 3 gives me 23. So now I'm ready to use the array method or the window method to multiply. I'm going to think of each of these small little windows as like its own little mini multiplication problem. So this one right here This array here represents 20 times 10. And I know that 2 times 1 equals 2. So I'm going to multiply my non-zero digits first. And then I have 2 zeros. So I need to have 2 zeros on the other side of my equals sign as well. So 20 times 10 is 200. Then I need to multiply. My next partial product is going to be 7 times 20. So I'm going to multiply 20 times 7. Remember, multiply your non-zero digits first. 2 times 7 is 14. And I have 1 0, so I also need to have 1 0 on the other side of my equals sign. 20 times 7 equals 140. Next, I'm going to do 10 times 3. That one's easy. That's 30. And lastly, I'm going to do 7 times 3. So this method, the window method, breaks up my multiplication problem into 4 smaller numbers, 4 smaller problems. And the idea is that for some people, this is easier because it breaks these numbers up into easy to solve parts. The last step is to take each of your partial products and add them together to get a total. Okay, so we're gonna do, let's see, 14 plus 21. That gives me 35, so I've done those. Next, I'm gonna do 35 plus 30. That gives me 65. And then 65 plus 2 more gives me 67. So my product for 17 times 23 is going to be 67. Okay, moving right along. We're going to multiply to find the product. Whenever you see that word product, you should remember that the product is the result of multiplying 2 or more factors together to get a product or an answer. Factor times factor equals product. Your product is your answer to a multiplication problem. So in this case, my 2 factors are 739 and 9. And we're going to multiply this using the US algorithm because that's what I want you to be practicing just a little bit each day. Okay, remember that with the US algorithm, we're going to multiply our ones first, then our tens, because this 3 represents 3 groups of 10. And last, we're going to multiply our hundreds. This 7 represents 7 groups of 100. So really, when we're doing the US algorithm, what we're multiplying is 9 times 9, that's our ones. Then 30 times 9, that's our tens. And last, 700 times 9. And then we take these partial products and add them together to get our answer. Okay? But the US algorithm gives us what I call, it's like a shortcut. So instead of doing this out the long way, we just have this digit here that represents our tens, instead of writing out in full that it's 3 groups of 10. And we have this digit here that represents our hundreds, instead of writing it out in full that represents 7 groups of 100. All right, let's go ahead and begin. 9 times 9 is 81. So we're going to put down our 1, carry our 8. And our 8 is really 8 groups of 10, or 80. Next, we're going to do 9 times 3, which is 27, plus 8 more. Well, let me think. 27 plus 3 would get me to 30. and then plus 5 more would get me to 35. So see how I broke up my 8 into a 3 and a 5? Okay, 9 times 7 is 63, plus 3 more is 66. So my product is 6,651. All right, one more for today. Draw an array to represent 7 times 8. Okay, now 2 words here that we need to remember what they mean. An array is an arrangement of columns and rows that represents a multiplication problem. So like this one, that's 2 groups of 3, or 3 times 2. Or I could do 3 groups of 3, and that would represent 3 times 3. So columns and rows, columns go side to side. Nope, sorry. Rows go side to side. Rows go side to side, and columns go up and down. Columns go up and down. All right, so we're going to draw an array that represents 7 times 8. So I'm going to do 8 rows going from side to side. And the way I do 8 rows is I take my rectangle, I divide it in half, and then I can draw 3 lines on one side. That gives me 4 equal pieces on one side. And then I draw 3 lines on the other side. That gives me another group of 4 pieces. So now I have a total of 8 rows. Let me just count them and make sure. 1 row, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I've got 8 rows going side to side, and now I need how many columns? 7 columns. Okay, now here's my trick. If I want to have 7 columns going up and down, I'm going to do that by drawing 6 lines. 6 lines will give me 7 columns. Okay, let's see if that worked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this is an array that represents 7 groups of 8. 7 groups of 8. All right, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm proud of you. I know it's hard to watch all these videos, but you're doing an amazing job. Let me know if you have any questions.